Now, before we get into this video, this is a very big warning for people that can't take stuff like this. It gets very graphic, and this is going to be your one and only warning. So if you continue to listen, just know I warned you. Let's begin. In order to give context to this post, let me explain who I am and why I am bothering sharing this information. 22-year-old male, just finished my master's at a university. I was about 12 when I was given permission to start using my dad's spare laptop. Since his work gave him a new one every couple of years, and he thought that I could use the experience of getting used to the tech early on. When I was in high school, I got word from a group of stoners, which also I still have no clue why the hell they were talking about it. The people were accessing restricted parts of the internet, which held everyone's information. I went ahead and did some more digging online, and I found out about this dark web, what most of you know as the deep web, finding proxy sites as well as hacks that you could use via command prompts to mask your IP address and basically walk through a lot of locked doors. I spent the better part of my late teens doing this kind of stuff online, using a few online forums like Rad. Most of the time. I didn't have many friends offline, so yeah, online was a place for me, and I got pretty good at blending in. I had 3 aliases which I used, but only the close online friends of mine knew that they were all me. Nathan was my main link to the dark web, since he somehow spent more time than I did on it, even when the only thing I did, other than ghosting with him, was playing Halo. What I liked about him is that neither one of us mentioned our last names or any real information, even though we both could have looked it up at any time and found pretty much whatever we wanted to about the other person. That being said, I trusted Nathan more than almost anyone, and he knows more about this story than I'll be willing to admit on here. During uni, I roomed with a local dealer who, unknown to the education board that expelled him, worked for me now. It was fucking easy to order narcotics online, like MDMA and X, if you knew where to look. I even had them shipped to my dorm room, local P.O. box, at one time without anyone being any the fucking wiser. I'd get the drugs online. My former friend would then use his real-life connections to sell them since I didn't really have anyone in town. This was around the same time I felt like I had all the cards, and no one could touch me if they couldn't track my IP. I was in the second year of my biomed course when I got into the stupid shit. Scumbag pieces of shit would be sharing snuff videos that would even make the most messed up, you've laid eyes on, look like a fucking white bread. This was why I only used the links that I either found myself, or more often the ones that Nathan gave me. He would spend days, and literally days, just marveling at some of the crazy shit that you could find on there, and some of the stuff that people just get away with. Yeah, the government had shut down all of the main sites like Silk Road and Mad Onion, but those are like the only ones that idiots online seem to even take a notice at. Other hackers would just message me on forums asking for sites to get weed and other drugs from, which was basically as simple as pointing in the right direction. The university claimed to monitor internet traffic to stop people from doing freaky stuff online after they heard people were hacking students' accounts and ruining online schedules. But I guarantee you that they did absolutely nothing to people who would actually do stuff. This is just a side note. I'm not confessing to having done these acts. I just know exactly which individuals did. By third year, I had made enough money to have a long screen setup of my own, which made decrypting site details a lot quicker for me, since I could actually read 200 bars or greater without having to scroll through a tab. And I actually had gotten pretty good at it too. I had been delving around messed up sites. And to be honest, I'd even talked in some of the chat rooms to some of these admins in charge. You'd be surprised how normal some of these sites' owners would seem if you didn't know he also had a day job. I got more curious though. Very stupid of me. After nearly 10 years of seamlessly making my way around this dark web, the deep web is more of a plebe term. You're talking with more experienced users, even today. I joined Nathan as well as a few others in this chat room, just messing around sharing some screwed up sites. This might sound weird, but for me, it's pretty much an everyday thing. Nathan and another friend were talking about some site that no one had managed to get past the encryption to. Apart from one other person who's even more of a no-life than me, the rest of us are pretty sure he's mentally unstable, because the site he shared with us was arguably the most vile thing I've ever laid my eyes on. For those of you still with me, this is why I'm posting this here. This site is the most cancerous and revolting sector from the darkest part of the dark web. It is a scar that I bear to this day, and it is one that I will never, ever forget. I'll warn readers again, this is not for the faint-hearted, and something that even the most emotionally numb person will not be able to deal with. I won't share the site URL, since I don't want this post to be taken down, nor do I want anyone even giving the slightest bit of publicity aside what I have said here. That being said, it did have a subheading in the HTML that I'll leave the other people like me to have a look at if they want to. Most people referred to it as cold body. The messed up dude who was in the chat room earlier gave Nathan and I this encrypted URL for us, but he was too fucking giddy about getting through the site himself, to send us an encryption, so Nathan and I had to manually go through the whole process ourselves. We tried for hours. Nathan and I had been doing this for the entirety of our adult lives, yet we'd never seen code like this before. Come to think of it, I doubt that the guy in the chat even cracked this himself. Nathan and I both called it a night. I left the command prompt open and went outside to smoke a joint. Nathan remained on the chat so we could play Anvil, a Russian crack of Halo for PC. But when I got back, his microphone was muted for some reason. For people like us who had nothing to hide from each other, we almost never muted our mics. I wait a few minutes just thinking maybe he's doing something, or maybe he went to go get something. Nothing. I don't think much of it. My brain is too occupied with the cannabis flowing through my bloodstream. I sat down and took another look at this code, thinking there was something I missed. I did. The code was completely different, completely unencrypted. I simply launched the URL, and my PC wired for a while, until finally opening up about 20 windows across my monitors. All of them scrambling codes through a debugger that I had installed. Even with 32 gigabytes of RAM, my computer was making more noise than I had ever heard before. I thought to myself, shit, I'm gonna have to OC my shit in the BIOS if I was going to have another shot of getting through this, and I was not feeling up for it after the smoke. I get ready to hard reset before my monitor turns off and back on, one at a time. This was when I started getting a bit paranoid and was thinking about just letting it go. I fucking wish that was what I did. The windows were almost gone, only 4 still there, and 2 of them were normal deep websites that the admin probably used to relay IP address through. First site that I had ever seen do that. All of the text was dark and extremely primitive for a site that I thought would be at least a little bit more impressive considering its security. The main center window had only one small amount of text in it. If you have made it this far, you know what you are in for. If you still don't, you don't belong here. Even though I was feeling mellow, the text in sheer awe of what I was getting myself into pieced me into fear. A simple Y/N prompt popped up in the window. I accepted, ready for whatever awaited me on the other side. A chat room window came into life in the second window remaining. I was wondering what it was for. Perhaps another IP relay or a shadow app that hid the true nature of the site behind it. It simply stated, "Insert name," as a small optional password that I'm still not sure what it was for. The fact that people have accounts on this site, looking back on it, is very, very fucked up. I used my most recent alias, Diablo_pound. The pounds are censored for obvious reasons. A couple more scrolls of red text flew up on the window. Then it opened up into an actual short chat room, like you'd see on Omegle, except with no ads or color or anything besides dark red text. The chat was a bit more advanced than the first window, which was now frozen and wasn't responding to any console commands I was using on it. I have to say, the feeling of finding this site in the first place felt pretty awesome. I couldn't wait to tell Nathan. That was until the chat window popped up with names. One that I recognized was his, using one of the aliases as well. I'd say about 36 people were in this chat room. No names that I can remember, and even if I did, I wouldn't dare reveal them. Not after this. I tried calling Nathan on my phone, but he obviously wasn't picking up. We were so fucked. It was so stupid for us to delve this deep without even knowing what was ahead of us. Users definitely had met before, as they immediately started posting messages to the window as me and Nathan remained silent, as they were casually talking about stuff. I was starting to calm down a little bit. Maybe this was just a stupid, exclusive cold website that talked about organizing deals or other dumb shit that I found in the past. It all seemed so normal. So why the obscurity? The first window, still blank and unresponsive, suddenly began loading up this video file or some sort. A snuff video, perhaps? It would make sense to hide this one, but not to this extent. And the chat room didn't make much sense. I wish this stuff had been going on through my head at the time, if I wasn't being stupid enough to get stoned right beforehand and going through with this. I felt tempted to ask the other users what the video was about, but I was afraid that it might give away that I was somebody who shouldn't be here. Nathan hadn't said anything either, and I wasn't going to risk anything. I got the guts to finally ask, "What are we all here for then?" Trying to sound as eccentric and dim-witted as I could. I didn't get a response from them. As a matter of fact, no one said another word. Nathan stayed quiet, but I assumed that he noticed me in the chat as well now since I posted. The video had stopped loading and began playing. Some more messages from the other users sharing their anticipations as the footage of a dark gray basement somewhere took shape on the screen. The resolution to the video was pretty awful at first, but rendered pretty well after about 30 seconds. I was scared shitless. Nobody else was in my house, and I shared it with roommates. Most had left for the summer vacation, and I didn't head home for another 2 weeks. I was alone in the dark with little to nothing but ambient sounds, or whatever was happening on that camera in that video. It stays like this for about 4 or 5 minutes. I spent every second staring at that screen, waiting for something to happen. Finally, a dude steps out onto the screen, holding up a whiteboard with foreign letters on it, as well as the word "cold body" underneath. The guy was honestly ominous to look at. Pretty overweight, and what only could be described as a motorbike's beard. The man spoke. I had no idea what he was saying at first. He was speaking in Chinese, I think, but I don't know. Luckily for Nathan and I, the man had another person beside him who spoke some broken English. "Hello, users. Welcome, Cold Body Show," I think he said. I was honestly more interested than scared at this point. This video looked like it could be something worth showing the others. That thought never crossed my mind again. The man with the broken English bursts into tears and sobs out of nowhere. He sobs in front of the camera and jerks around in what I can only guess as desperation. The man holding the sign yells at the guy in Chinese before another man enters the frame and puts a gun to his head. Before I could even realize that it was a gun, the man fired. He didn't stop there. Pressing the barrel of the gun against the dead man's temple, he fired again and again, each shot spraying blood and what I guess were pieces of the man's skull all over the place. Okay, so a shock video. Not much out of the ordinary here. That was when I started to see the chat window again. The users were talking about what they should do next. Users were all typing different languages, but almost all of the English ones read, "Shoot him again." I realized then that I wasn't watching some shock video or some stupid snuff film that the admins had hid behind the wall of proxies. This was a live stream. I was watching a live stream of somebody being murdered in front of me. We all were. I type into the chat, "You sick fucks," and "What the fuck are you guys doing?" But the texts weren't being responded to. So many people were spamming in the chat in foreign text. I just couldn't read it. Another person is brought out, right in front of the camera, this time already sobbing and trying to break free of the ropes. They had been bound to her ankles and wrists. She was bare naked and covered in bruises and cuts. I didn't do anything but wait for the inevitable. The man shot her in the back of the head and watched her body fall limp to the floor. People in the chat cheered and asked for more. Someone picks up the camera and positions it in the direction towards a metal table, covered with some sort of liner. The woman's body is dragged into frame and placed on the table. What happened next? I don't think the world should even know. I'm not kidding. This is your final warning. Be prepared for this. The body was slumped on the table like a surgeon would before operating on a person. Some more people, wearing red and black ski masks, went up to the body holding various items, such as kitchen knives and a cordless drill. I couldn't watch without physically feeling sick to my stomach. The men mutilated that body, pulled her apart from limb to limb. I could see everything. I almost immediately retched, and I almost vomited all over my keyboard, but I gained control back to myself before that happens. My heart was beating like crazy. The whole situation was so fucked, and I was way over my head. By the time the men were finished, there was literally nothing left but a stump. Not that you could even tell that it was a human anymore. Her head was literally torn off of her neck and stuffed into the body cavity, along with one of her arms. If it weren't for other weird sites I had been on before, I might have not stayed as long as I did. 3 more people were brought on the screen, all of them screaming for their lives and trying to escape. One of them shot in the leg, the other one standing there and shaking in place, trying not to scream. The man holding the sign walks up to the lens and stares into it. I see the black in his eyes. Blood splattered across his face. I breathed faster and I actually had to look away. It was like he was staring right at me. He says something else in a foreign language, probably the same one as before. When he stops speaking, the chat window does the same. Hardly a single other post, just a chat window awaiting some response. About 20 seconds passed of him just staring into the camera after speaking. Nothing happens at first, but then the chat mentions me and Nathan by our usernames. More of them spam our names and posts that take over the scrolling message board. As soon as they mentioned our aliases, I started freaking out. I try to close the black window, but every time I try, the window says that the application is not responding. The live stream just continues. The man staring at me, and the messaging prompting me to say something. One of the few comments in proper English pops up. He's asking us to choose which they're gonna kill first. I freeze for about 5 seconds before unplugging my computer from the wall. I didn't care about anything anymore. I just wanted to leave the site and never come back. I sat there with a blank screen in front of me for a bit before pacing around the kitchen, and I was done with it. I didn't sleep at all. I was too traumatized to even think of resting after what I had seen. At the same time of this happening, I was thinking about reporting the site to the police, but I of all people know that they can't do anything to stop this. To think that more of these sites could exist, that more people are getting gunned down and mutilated for entertainment, it's something that I can't fucking think about. I spent 2 days talking to some close friends about this stuff, though I left out all of the details that I had just seen. I just referred to it as disturbing online. They all know what I do in my free time, so they didn't think much of it since I mentioned snuff films or messed up sites before. They didn't know that Nathan and I had seen. I mustered up the courage to turn on my PC again, and I was fucking relieved to see no sign of any virus. And most of all of the black windows scattered on my desktop were gone. I immediately go to check if Nathan had left me any messages on Raddot. I had several messages from him, with a few files attached to the second. I was hoping to talk this whole ordeal through with him, but the files immediately caught my eye. The attachments were pictures of me, stolen from my Facebook and email. Pictures of my old school, university, and even my friends here. The messages were my address, email online aliases, and even the names of my family members. My IP was posted to the bottom. And I realized how fucked I am. The last picture was of me and my old girlfriend, with her IP address and details pasted on top of the picture. There's no fucking way that they tracked me down. I take a few minutes to pull myself together before writing back. What the fuck happened? Who are you? I didn't get a response, and I still haven't to this day. He has all of my details. He knows everything about me and my family, and I don't even know what else. I still don't know what has happened to him since the live stream. I can only pray that the information that he does have on me doesn't fall into the hands of those murderous, insane motherfuckers who killed and desecrated dozens of people in the darkest part of the internet. I can't let them find me or those who I care about. I will never go back to that part of the internet again, ever. It's not fucking safe for me, or you, or anyone. The police can't find them, but they can find you. Don't try to find this site. Don't try to report the site. They will do to you what they did to me. And if you think they won't find you, then remember that I was fucking invisible. Do you want to take the chance that they don't find someone like you? Don't go onto the deep web. And for fuck's sake, for your humanity, never seek out people who are behind this. they'll find you first. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, I don't know whether to say thank you or you might need to go see a psychiatrist or something. Obviously, I'm joking, but I do want to say, if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it and you would like to see more of these types of stories, make sure to comment down in the comment section to let me know. I make sure to check all the comments. Make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to this channel and this is your first video, make sure to subscribe. We're only growing. Make sure to also check out the links in the description as well. My Twitter, Instagram, and my Gmail if you want to send me a story. I would greatly appreciate that. Make sure to turn on those post notifications too. It definitely helps. But with that being said, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one. Really guys, this was actually like really messed up, like, wow. But yeah, okay, bye.